Tonight's report began with an announcement that sounded, on paper, like a post-war reconstruction plan. Washington is said to back a proposal that would place former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair at the head of a temporary international authority to govern Gaza for years, while the territory is rebuilt and reorganized. The proposal, as it has been reported, would create a Gaza International Transitional Authority, sometimes shortened to GITA, with Blair chairing a small supervisory board and a 25-person secretariat. The idea is modeled, we were told, on international administrations used in places like Kosovo and Timor-Leste, an outside technocratic caretaker to restore order, rebuild services, and eventually hand control back to Palestinians. But it is crucial to pause here. That official-sounding language hides two facts that make many Palestinians, Arab governments, and critics very uneasy. First, this plan, as reported, initially sidelines the Palestinian Authority, meaning Gaza would be run for an undefined period by an international body rather than local Palestinian institutions. Second, the exact timeline is vague. Some reports say up to 5 years, others say 2. While the UN's alternative plan, the New York Declaration, explicitly calls for a 1-year interim technocratic administration before returning power to a reformed PA. That contrast matters. When things like temporary administrations and technocratic boards are proposed without clear, binding timelines and without genuine Palestinian leadership, they can feel less like temporary stewardship and more like prolonged external control. That is not a hypothetical fear. It is what people across Gaza and the wider region are warning about. Arab states have made clear they will only contribute to any international force if there is a clear political timetable toward Palestinian statehood. Without that, their support will be limited. Some will argue the plan is pragmatic. Rebuild Gaza, prevent Palestinian resistance from returning to power, and ensure humanitarian coordination. The architects say GITA would house technocratic ministries, municipal services, a vetted civil police force, courts under Arab jurists, and a property rights preservation unit to protect residents' claims. On paper, those are technical solutions. But reality and history demands skepticism. When an outside power places itself in the position of supreme political and legal authority, the line between temporary and occupation becomes dangerously thin. The very features presented as safeguards, an international board, long mandates, security control, are the tools of administration and control. Many Palestinians and many independent analysts view moves that restrict Palestinian self-rule as concealing a far larger goal: prolonged domination of Palestinian life and land under the guise of reconstruction. This is not merely a procedural critique, it is a moral one. There is another human truth that the policy papers never capture. Gaza is home to 2 million people whose lives, memories, and roots are tied to that land. Any plan that treats reconstruction as a blank slate risks erasing that human history. Promises that Palestinians will not be made to leave are necessary, but words are not guarantees. A property rights preservation unit cannot replace people's homes, livelihoods, and dignity if implementation is weak or if power rests with external actors. So when the White House and those around it present the Blair plan as a compromise, somewhere between direct U.S. or Israeli control and the UN's New York Declaration, the sober response must be, look closer. The absence of clear binding timelines, the marginalization of Palestinian institutions, and the elevation of a figure like Tony Blair, who is respected by some Gulf leaders but bitterly distrusted by many Palestinians because of his past stances, are all red flags. For many, that combination signals not a neutral caretaker, but a plan that could lead to an extended occupation in different clothes. If post-war Gaza is to be rebuilt in a way that honors Palestinian dignity and leads to lasting peace, any interim arrangement must be time-bound, rooted in Palestinian authority, and accountable to the people who live there. Anything less risks legitimizing another form of control, and that must be called out. In times like these, silence is costly. People of conscience, wherever they are, must watch the details, demand timelines, and insist any international help is genuinely empowering rather than replacing Palestinian sovereignty. Because if the plan's true purpose is to occupy rather than to liberate, the world must say so decisively and act to prevent it. Tony Blair has a controversial history. He played a direct role in the 2003 invasion of Iraq, leading to the deaths of thousands of civilians. While he has not been definitively labeled a war criminal like Netanyahu, investigations have indicated that he faces serious accusations. Why is it that someone with a dark past, known for executing Arab civilians in large numbers, is being selected to lead an Arab nation? Perhaps due to the increasingly criticized image of Netanyahu, Washington opted to identify a leader whose actions and views closely mirrored those of Netanyahu, ultimately leading to a full invasion and occupation. In a nutshell, the primary objective, the actions and the persecutions of the Gazans will persist. The only change is the individual issuing orders, shifting from Netanyahu to Tony Blair. The question isn't who is better of the two, but who is worse. That's all for today. If you found the video informative, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Jazakum Allahu khairan.